Hey folks, I'm back. Sorry it's been longer than I said. I know I said at least once a week. Things got busy. Anyway, and I feel like an idiot. I've already made this video once. Forgot to hit save. So I went to upload it, and it wasn't there. So let's hope I get this right this time like I did earlier. So the channel direction I'm going to go, Halloween haunt events. I'm sure we've all been to one, seen one, been curious about, worked them. I myself am a former scare actor, so I'm going to start with the one I worked at. Year by year. I did it for about, I guess, 6 years. Would have been 7, but I'll explain that at the end here in a little bit. I live in Southern California. I grew up in Anaheim, home of the Angels, Disneyland, Mighty Ducks hockey team. Anyway, I lived on the border, kind of on the border, between the cities of Anaheim and Buena Park. In Buena Park, there's a theme park called Knott's Berry Farm. I was about 3 miles at the most from that park, so I have walked it. Not a fun walk, but I've done it. And I also lived about maybe 5 miles from Disneyland. So it wasn't, I was pretty much in the middle. I also worked at Disneyland, but we'll get to that later, because that was actually a more recent thing. But yeah, we'll start with 2000, when I lived there. Just graduated high school, looking for a job. I've always wanted to work at the theme park because I was a fan. I've always liked it better than Disneyland at the time. It felt more of a family vibe, more small theme park, because it's an old West theme park at its start. It started as a berry stand in the late 19-teens, early 20s. They're billed as America's first theme park because I think they established the berry farm itself in 1920. Roadside stand eventually evolved into a berry stand and a chicken dinner restaurant. Walter Knott and his wife Cordelia started it. Sorry. Mr. Knott and his friend Dr. Rudolph Boysen invented the boysenberry, which is my favorite berry, especially in pie and fruit punch and jam, of course. I may be biased, but go figure. Anyways, 1973, 72, 73, something like that. 50 years ago this year, they started the Granddaddy of them all Halloween haunt event and called it Knott's Scary Farm. Play on words, obviously. or Halloween Haunt. Either one, they're interchangeable. I think they're going back to this Not Scary Farm name harder the last couple of years, since there's a lot of Halloween haunts been popping up over the last couple of decades. So they want to make sure that they're distinguished from the rest, obviously. Period. Why did I do that? Anyway. Back to 2000, sorry. So I go and apply for a regular job at the park. Stores, custodial, ride operator, whatever. Regular, just park operations job. You know, I turn in my application, they call me for an interview, I go. If I remember right, my mom had taken me to the interview because I didn't have a car yet. We stopped off at Taco Bell for lunch beforehand, which was kind of funny. Anyways, I get there, I get called in. And the lady as my interviewer says, "Hey, we need a tall male about your build." I was a lot skinnier back then. For this alien type character. For one of our mazes for the Halloween Haunt event. Would you be interested? I was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. You know. I had never been to the event before. I just never had the extra cash for it. Plus, I grew up in a very conservative Christian home. Raised by my grandparents for the most part. My mom was there, but single parent. You know, worked a lot, so we lived with my grandparents most of my life growing up. And my grandma was very against it. Which brings me to another side story I'll get to in a minute here. My mom didn't care. She was whatever. She let me do whatever I wanted as long as I stayed out of trouble. You know. She was the kind of cool mom for the most part. If I brought home a record with the parental advisory sticker on it, she didn't care. Hell, she bought it for me most of the time when I was younger. But my grandma was ultra conservative. Like, I had a Batman comic book in like middle school, and it happened to be him with, you know, and a woman on a motorcycle, I think it was, on the cover, and she had a lot of cleavage showing, and my grandma got mad and threw it away. So, over a comic book, go figure, right? I've been trying to refind that book, but I can't find it anywhere. Because I have a vague recollection of the cover. Yes, I'm going on one tangent. I'm sorry, but bear with me. It's what I do. It's my thought process. Anywho, so I didn't tell my grandma about getting the job there. I just told her I got a job at the park. At first. No, I go, do all I got to do get ready for the job. Tells me to come back on a certain date for costuming and orientation and all that stuff. So I get the paperwork, I'm doing all this stuff. Go back for costuming, and it turned out it's not just an alien. It's your favorite xenomorph from Alien. Which I thought was awesome. Now, the only part of the costume that was really xenomorph-like was the mask. You know, long alien head, obviously. And the gloves were kind of like, we had to do this pretty much in the gloves because there were 3 fingers. So yes, I'm very good both hands at doing the Live Long and Prosper. Plus I'm a Trekkie, so that was easy. I love all sci-fi, by the way, not just Star Trek. I don't take sides. Anyways, get the costume. I mean, most of it was just alien-looking padding, muscle padding, sewn onto like a sweatshirt and a black sweatshirt and black sweatpants. Yeah. So we get fitted, all that stuff, and then they keep the costume there, and I just every week have to every day show my ID to get my costume, etc. When I go to check in for work. So it turns out the name of the maze was Horrorwood Hotel. It changes names a little bit. You can see that later on in one of my later videos. But anyway, so do the orientation, all that stuff. Do dress rehearsal. That was great. That's fun because dress rehearsal is pretty much we practice on ourselves. One night, half the mazes in the park are all their talent is there as guests, so the other half of the mazes are open and running. So the other talent that's not working that night, they can come in and they get a preview of the mazes that are open. And the next night is flip-flop, so we could go and see the other mazes. So that was fun. I only got scared once by a woman in a giant bunny suit. Thought she was fake. I was looking at this, pile of stuffed animals on the floor, and yeah, I fell for an old trick. That's alright. She's a good friend, though. Anyway, so my maze, you walk in, hotel lobby pretty much. You had like your bellboy, butler kind of character, and then like the maids. The male characters, the butler, bellboy, whatever, concierge kind of characters were in these kind of grotesque, ugly masks. And then the maid characters, they were in beautiful makeup, but then of course they had a scar across the face or something to ugly it up a little bit. So they were pretty, but then they had, the scars and stuff. So they kind of show you where to go. You walk through the first hallway. You hear the Nightmare on Elm Street music playing, and it's a bunch of doors, all labeled 13, and then Freddy popping out at you every so often. And for some reason they played the Sound of Music, like The Hills Are Alive with Sound of Music song, over top of that, just for comic effect, I guess. But then you turn the corner, you'd hit a black and white painted room, Night of the Living Dead, the original 1960s movie. Couple guys, again, they did great with the makeup and the costuming in that room. They did gray and white suits, so it looked like you were in a black and white movie. The costuming, the makeup was black and white. There were hints of red for blood, whatever, for the extra effect. And like it was a kitchen setup, so it was like you're in a house, the house where they're all trapped in the movie when the zombies are coming. It was like that kind of setup. So you had the kitchen and the living room. He walked through. Then you walk in the next room, and it was like you're walking into a theater from behind the screen. So you're walking up to the middle row seats, all facing you, projector light coming at you, so kind of blinding you a little bit. And you had rows and rows of ghost face dummies from screen. Excuse me. A couple of them were real people in costume, and you didn't know who was who until they jumped out at you. Go to the next room, you had a Hannibal Lecter, Silence of the Lambs room. Had a guy would jump out at you. Had a little mask on, orange jumpsuit, straight jacket. Had these bungee cord, like thick bungee cord rope, jail cells, bars. Goes there, turn a corner, you see a door. That it was just a wall, like it was a little traditional turn. There's a door that did a little hallway with a slash through it and a face. You know, The Shining. Here's Johnny, kind of thing. But it was just a mannequin face, whatever. And red rum was painted on it. Then you went to the hall and saw this cool looking, like machine looking alcove kind of thing, just like screwed to the wall. That was perfectly spaced in the middle of the wall, next to the banister, going up to the side wall. And me at that time being a lot skinnier and lighter on my feet, I would jump up on the banister and put my other leg across onto this cool looking machine looking plastic piece that was bound into the wall. And if I had enough room, as people were coming up the ramp, I would jump down and run at them. A little hard to do with that mask, but it was fun. Or if I didn't do that, I'd be back in the actual alien room. There was a body on a table with a chest burster coming through it, and like lights and stuff behind it to give it kind of cool effect, and also distract you as you're walking through. And the other side we had like a couple of the eggs, and then a giant xenomorph statue, like the Alien Queen statue. I think she would rotate a little bit. Maybe the arms kind of did this kind of thing. I can't remember. It's been 20 plus years. Anyway, so you get past us, me and my other friend, we were the same character. We then staggered through the room. You get past us, we got called all kinds of names because of the obvious phallic nature of how the mask looked. Had a woman try and feed a lollipop to the mouth part that she took out of her mouth and tried to put it in Fortunately, the mouth of the mask was that far from my face, so whatever. Anyways, you get past us, you saw on a wall as you're making a turn, you saw a ghost, a sheet stabbed to a wall with glasses on where the head would be. Homage to Halloween. Then we had the Hellraiser room. You had a giant pinhead statue or dummy, like up on top, and then you had a actor in the pinhead costume. We also had a female Cenobite, Chatterbox, and Butterball Cenobites in costume there. Then I think it ended with The Shining. No, Poltergeist. Sorry. So we had the giant skeleton beastie thing, demon that came through the window. Had a bed with a little clown on it. Creepy ass clown. Anyways. I don't have a problem with clowns. I love clowns, but it's just that one from that movie. Had a little girl with a TV. The mommy, I can't hear you. Where are you? Thing going on. And that was about it. I mean, it wasn't a very long maze. It probably took 10, 20 minutes to get through, depending on the crowds. On a dead night, you could walk right through it in probably 8 minutes. And that's counting for jump scares from us scaring you a little bit, whatever. But it was great. A lot of fun. That was my first year. I mean, we also had an overhead scare that I would work on in my room. Like, I would climb up, and there was like this metal grating that had, that was on purpose for us to stand on, whatever. And so I would go up there, kind of I'd anchor my feet, onto whatever behind me, bend down a little bit, and like I would get people from above. Sometimes I would take my glove off. We would use strips of cheesecloth, and I'd tie it on the glove, and I'd kind of let it hang, and I'd hang it down people's faces as they walk by. Or I would just throw the cheesecloth down. Kind of met a woman who ended up dating later on that year. She thought it was funny. But anyway, yeah. So, I mean, it was cool. We had all kinds of neat little tricks we would do. I'm not going to give too much away. That's what I was saying about my grandmother objecting to me working. Because once she found out what I was doing, she was not happy. Even though I was 18 and an adult, but I lived at her house still. She was very conservative Christian. She was open to things, but just when anything seemed even remotely demonic, she was, So, what that reminded me was, I took the bus to work every day. It's like I said previously, I didn't have a car. And this was a minimum wage seasonal job. They said I could, after the season was over, I could go and transfer back into the park as a regular operations employee, but I decided not to. I got the bug of doing that, and that's all I wanted to do when it came for that place. So, I'd find other work during the year. But yeah, so I would get off the bus, and it was across the street from the park. So I'd have to walk down to the main entrance, blah, blah. Actually, I had to get off the bus at one stop, cross the street, and then walk another entire block down to the next light. There was no bus stop at the next light. And then walk down on the backside of the park. So, if you live in the area, you know what I'm talking about. But on the main corner there of the main intersection of the park is Beach Boulevard, which is the main thoroughfare in Orange County, and then La Palma Avenue. It's the cross sections of where the park's at. There's a sign that says Knott's on the corner wall. And it's an Old West theme, is the original theme of the park. I don't know if I mentioned that before or not. But, so it's kind of an Old West writing, the name of the park. Well, we would have protesters there every night, like right-wing Christian, protesting the event, saying that it was evil and demonic and blah 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 blah. Which it wasn't. There was never really anything devil-like. I mean, yes, we had your vampires, we had gothic-themed stuff, we had, horror movie-themed stuff, but there was nothing overtly mentioning the devil or upside down crosses or any satanic kind of thing. I mean, the closest was probably the Hellraiser room in my maze. And whatever. But if they'd never been into it, they wouldn't know what's in there anyway. So they were just, yeah. So we kind of gave them a little bit of guff back, but which made things interesting. But yeah, so that's it for 2000. I worked 2000, 2001, 2, 3. Missed 4 because I had another job. And then worked 5, 6, and 7. I worked a graveyard shift job in 04, and they wouldn't give me the time off. I might have mentioned that already earlier in the video, but forgive me if I'm repeating. So next video will go 2001 and etc. each video. Anything you want to know though about just what it takes to be a scare actor in general, feel free to ask in the comments, and I'll take note. And then I'll probably make a video later on answering those questions. Or when I have finally the ability to go live and do a whole live feed session thing, I can do it then too. Anyways, I think that's going to be it for tonight. It's 1:30 now. And this video is actually going about 10 minutes longer than the original video that I made, so it could be good, could be bad. But like I said, I'm not going to edit any of this. This is just me talking about me. So what you see is what you get. No filters, no edits, no cuts. Any mistakes I made, you're going to see it. So, like I said, it's 1:30 a.m. here. I will start working on the next video soon. I hope you all have a great morning, night, afternoon, wherever you're at, whenever you're watching this. Stay safe. Beware of things that go bump in the night. And, love you all. Have a good time. Like, subscribe, all that BS. You know what to do. Alright, see you later.